Hey guys, today I want to give you a tip that I don't think most DJs do, and it's one of the coolest things that I've added, 15, 20 years ago. I started doing this, and what a huge difference it makes. And it's this: I call the parents of the bride and groom the week before the wedding, and I'll tell you kind of things that I cover with them and how much time it takes and what the advantages are. Let's start with the things that I ask first. And by the way, so the setup of this is I tell the bride and grooms I'm going to do this, and I tell them to let their parents know that I'm going to be calling. I learned a long time ago, if you don't do that, some of them just worry. And so you leave a message, hey, this is Randy, the DJ for the wedding, and I need to talk to you. And mom's going to straight panic mode. Oh my God, he's bailing out, right? So they know that I'm going to be calling, and I call, and basically there's like 4 main subjects that I cover. And these are the things that I do, and you can do it in your own style, so I don't want to get into the style parts of how I do it, but it really is as simple as this. The first thing is are there any surprises that you know about that are planned for the reception that I should be aware of as master of ceremonies? And make sure that I'm talking to them as master of ceremonies, not as DJ. The answer almost always is no, and then I clarify it a little bit, and sometimes I get a little something out of them, but the answer is still almost always no. But what I'm looking for is anything at all that the bride and groom aren't aware of. Are there any gifts being presented? Any special presentations? Has anybody made a video? Is there a special car for the exit? Anything at all that they don't know about that could be happening at the reception. I'll give you a great example of a thing that happened a few years ago that was pretty big. In talking to the parents of the bride, the mother of the bride told me that during the toast, the bride and groom lived in a condo that the parents owned. They rented it from the parents. During the toast, they were going to present them with the deed to this condo as a gift. That's a pretty big wedding gift, right? Normally, I would have the parents of the bride do the first toast and the parents of the groom do the second toast. How would you like to be the parents of the groom following that? Here's a house. Here's a toast, right? So knowing that, what I did is I just rearranged it. And I asked the parents, I said, would you be okay doing the final toast? I'd like to put everything else in front of you and have you do the very last toast. And I explained why. And they said, yeah, that makes sense. And when that was finished, I knew it was coming. I had Our House queued up. We played Our House. I didn't say a word. I just let the moment breathe. And there were lots of tears and hugs. And, probably went on for a minute and a half, maybe a couple minutes before we moved on. It was pretty powerful. But I sure would not have wanted to follow that with something else. But we've had belly dancers come in. We've had performances by, little kids. Somebody's going to sing a song. I mean, you name it. These things are surprises. And we've all been faced with that where we've just opened the dance floor. The party's rocking. The train is rolling, man. We got all the momentum. And then here comes mother of the bride saying, hey, can we stop? I want to do this little presentation. So you eliminate all of that. Second question I ask, is there anybody that is very close to the bride and groom, whoever their child is, who is unable to attend the wedding? And one of the reasons I make this call so close to the wedding, I try to do it about 10 days before, 1 week in advance. And the reason for that is that can change. Like they thought somebody was coming, but now they're not. And I let them know why. And that's so that now, for years what we did is we had this goes back to the days of 800 numbers, and people would call in and record a message. We would play back their audio recording. Now we still do audio recordings. We just have them call and leave a voicemail, or they can record just on their phone and then email me that recording as well. But now we do more audio messages. Video messages. So we get a lot of those as well. And you have to be careful, right? Because you get moms that'll get excited. It's like, oh yeah, this would be really great. I had one years and years ago. I will never forget. The mom got like 10 or 11 messages to call in. And one of them was, hi, you don't know me, but I lived across the street from you when you were a little girl. Like, yeah, I'm not playing that message. So you still have to edit, and you still have to, there are some times where I will play an edited version. Somebody calls in a 4-minute message and I play a 38-second one, and then I give them the full length one as well. But you have to make some decisions. But this is how I can do the best wishes. We call it best wishes. That's how we can do best wishes without tipping off the bride and groom. So that's the next thing. I talk to them about their toasts. Find out if they have a toast planned. If they do, what plans they have for the toast. The more I know about the toast, the better. I just got one today. The mother wrote out hers and said, Dad's not going to write it out. He's going to get up there and wing it. He's a great speaker, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm not going to force anybody to do that. The more I know in advance, the better I can be prepared for whatever happens. It's not the end of the world if I don't know it, but generally speaking, people who are winging it go on way too long, and they're not nearly as prepared as those who at least have notes. So oftentimes I can get them to at least move forward with some notes or some plans and get some idea of what's going to happen, and that will help me with some transitions sometimes. I ask them if there's anything at all that I can do for them. It can be anything. It might be, a family dynamic I need to be aware of. If grandma's in a wheelchair, we've got to make sure she's seated earlier. Usually I know what these things are in advance. Not always. And so if there's anything at all that I can be doing for them, and it can be something as simple as, is there a song I can play for you? And it's really funny, when they'll go, oh gosh, you probably won't have this. This is like from the 60s. I'm like, yeah, me too. So I can come up with that. But knowing those things in advance, and typically we get like this one I just got today, came with some very nice, but it was with some warnings about families super conservative, wants to make sure that we don't do anything during the newlywed game that we're going to play that's sexual. And so, being able to reassure her of those things made her feel really terrific. So now I'm armed with all this information. There's all this stuff I can do. What's the big benefit? Well, I can make the moments better. I can create things that otherwise wouldn't have been done. And here's an amazing part. Making that connection with the parent is awesome. Now, when I show up at the reception, and sometimes frequently I've never met the parents. I've only had this conversation over the phone. But now when I go up and say, hi, I'm Randy, they're like, oh, and they hug me. Usually on the phone call, what I hear is, oh my God, Mitra has just been raving about you and talking about how wonderful you are. Now I see why this is so great. The confidence that they have in us, and we're not being managed then at the event by some mom who's worried about, just some DJ doing things. And there's little things that they'll talk to us about volume. We don't want it to be too loud. We can cover that in advance about, dance volume has to be dance volume, but we try to play at a reasonable dance volume. And listen, if it's too loud, don't be afraid to come over and let me know. And there's adjustments I can make. Sometimes I can turn the volume down. Sometimes I can just adjust speakers, but letting them know that we're open. Do all of those things. When the parents see all the things that you do, I will tell you that I started doing that 20 years ago. The number of tips that I get from parents has jumped dramatically, and the amount jumped dramatically, because it used to be they were like, wow, that's an awful lot for a DJ. I know this DJ was only $400. And, they're paying me $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 for the same thing. Well, now they find out it's not the same thing. And then they see all the extra work that we put into it. And it pays off, not only in reviews and raving fans and all of that, but in actual real cash. So I would strongly urge, and by the way we do it's really simple. Our form, our basic reception planner, the same, you guys all have a reception planner. It's got a spot in there for phone numbers for everybody, because everybody has different phone numbers now. It used to just be one, but now everybody's got their own phone number. And emails. And we use email a lot to contact them in advance. I can send them, we have our toasting tips. That's in the forms that most of you have from us now. We send out our toasting tips. Those little things that we do in advance take away so many obstacles that make our job so much easier. So I highly recommend you calling the parents before. And sometimes that's 3 or 4 calls. I live in California. We have very few that just have 2 sets of parents. There's usually, 2 sets over here and 2.5 sets over here. So sometimes, but even as long-winded as I am, a long phone call for me for the parents is usually 10 minutes. Sometimes they're much less than that. So I encourage you to do that. I apologize for the length of this one. We've gone almost 10 minutes today, but I just think it's a really powerful one that people aren't doing. You want to set yourself apart from all the other DJs? Do this one.